Federal Reserve Chairman Martin strongly urged Congress today to approve President Nixon's fiscal program, particularly those moves to control inflation. Martin said the root of the trouble is that people have accepted inflation as a way of life. Some thoughts on this from Eric Seberide. Eric?
Tonight is Fiscal Year Eve, an occasion very few people have been known to celebrate, except some Federal Treasury people in some years who have lifted a glass to drown their sorrows. Tomorrow begins the budget year for the federal government, the biggest receiver, the biggest spender, the biggest employer anywhere around. It is not a particularly happy holiday this year as national leaders contemplate the problem of managing an economy in which a vast structure of domestic welfare projects have been added on top of new weapon systems, on top of the leap into space, on top of a major war. It is a situation in which prices keep climbing while the stock market keeps sinking. It has always been a question whether we can have prosperity without inflation. Now the question may be whether we're going to have inflation without prosperity. The 10% income tax surcharge over which Congress is fighting is the centerpiece and chief symbol of the whole affair. The Nixon people have learned that inflation is more serious than they had thought back in January because it is becoming a state of mind and emotion with both business and labor. The Nixon approach has been one of gradually applying the brakes, with expert opinions divided as to whether they are really taking hold. Taxes and inflation constitute the sleeper in the fate of this administration over the next 2 or 3 years. The president has been edging to the right step by step. A new tendency towards protectionism in foreign trade, a chill on the move to liberalize trade with East Europe, the push for the anti-missile system before the arms control talks with the Russians, a slow-up in the effort to enforce school desegregation, a new reconciliation with the military through the person of Secretary Laird, a stern face turned toward student rebels and city rioters. Mr. Nixon seems determined to build his own strength and his party's strength on the great central mass of middle-class and lower middle-class Americans. But the inflation in both prices and taxes is eating into the patience as well as into the pocketbooks of this mass of people. Protesting mail to White House and congressional offices is becoming something of an avalanche. Vietnam may be built down, cities may remain quiet, students may go back to studying, but unless inflation is checked down concurrently, Mr. Nixon could find himself with his frontal enemies vanquished and his own army deserting behind him. Eric?
The averages were generally higher on the New York Stock Exchange today. Volume was 8,600,000 shares. The New York index gained 20 cents. The American Exchange Index was up 14 cents.